Hi there, how are you? Now we are going to do how to greet people. Okay, I am going to teach you how to greet people. Okay, I just told you I consider you as my friend. That's why I said, hi there, how are you? But you can't go to a superior and say, hi there, how are you? Or hi and all. We have to be more polite. That's why I gave you in the previous session, I gave you, that is in the introduction section, the setting is divided into 3 different forms, and that is formal, informal and neutral, isn't it? So, for a very informal greeting, we can say hi, hello there, or how are you and all that. But for a very formal introduction or greeting, you just go shake the hands of the officer who is introduced to you and say, how do you do? And he would reply, how do you do? Okay? So, keep this in mind. That is why I told you when to speak, what to speak, in what setting, what attitude, what language to use, all this matters. Okay, now I am going to write a few introductions like how to greet people, and then we will practice, and then I am going to give you dialogues. Okay? Now this is greeting people. Okay. Now I just told you informal. Informal greeting, you just say hi, how are you? Okay. You can even say how's everything? Okay, these are the, or just say how are you? Okay. Or you can say how are you doing? Okay, now I am just going to give you the replies for this. Hi, how are you? Oh, I am fine. How are you? That can be the reply. How's everything? Oh, fine. Oh, fine, thank you. How are you? We say, oh, I'm fine. How are you? How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Okay, these are the ways in greeting somebody, maybe your cousins, your friends, a very close associate, anybody you can wish this way, you can greet this way. Okay, same way for a formal greeting, you can't use any of this. So, when somebody is introduced to you, you can say, how do you do? Okay, you would have seen in the Britishers how they wish people, Americans how they wish people. That is a very formal meeting when you go for a party or a conference, and when you are introduced to new people, all higher authorities, you just shake hands with them and say, how do you do? And the reply will be the same, how do you do? Okay, or you can even say, I am so glad to meet you. Okay, you can even say, it's been a pleasure meeting you. there is a lot of difference between the informal greeting and a formal greeting. I am so pleased to meet you. I am so glad to meet you. It's been a pleasure meeting you. How do you do? Okay, these are the ways in which you meet or greet. When you meet a person, you greet someone by using these greetings. Okay, and these are the ways you greet someone who's known to you. Do you understand? Okay, let me suggest some persons and let me check with you. If you are meeting your teacher after a long time, now you have passed out of school or college and you are meeting your lecturer or teacher after a long time, will you use the informal or the formal one? Whatever it is, you would have become a great engineer or doctor or anything in life, but still your teacher is a teacher and you have to use only the formal greeting. You can't go and say, hi teacher, how are you? You can't do that, because a teacher or your professor is always held in a high esteem. So, you can just say, oh, I am so glad to meet you, ma'am, how are you? Okay, you can say this and then you can ask, how are you? Okay, it's been a pleasure meeting you, ma'am, how are you? Or it's been a pleasure, I am so pleased to meet you, sir, how are you? How do you do? Okay, so that's how you talk or you greet a person when you meet. So, when you meet your son's or daughter's friend, you can't go and say, I am so glad to meet you, isn't it? Hi there, how are you? You can say, how's everything, my little boy? You can ask him in a very informal way. How are you, my sonny boy? Even when a father talks to a son or daughter, how are you, my dear son? Are you doing well? After maybe the son has gone to the hostel and he's come. So, you can't say, I am so glad to meet you to your son, isn't it? So, there are a lot of differences in just meeting and greeting people itself. So, you should remember this very, very carefully and you have to express the greetings. So, greeting people, this is how you greet. Now, I am going to give you a sample introduction. Next, we are going to see how you greet someone when you meet someone new and how you introduce yourself to him or her. Okay? Now, let us see. Now, I am going to write down a dialogue and practice with you how a person introduces another person to his cousin and how he responds. Okay? For example, now Nagesh is introducing his cousin to Mr. Benjamin. Let us see how he introduces and how he responds. Okay? Like this, we are going to do a lot more of dialogues. I will give you a lot of work, you will have to do it. Okay? Now, when I write the dialogues, I will write only the names this side and the speeches this side. I will give you Nagesh introducing his cousin to Benjamin. To Ben. Okay? Nagesh. Hello Suresh, how are you? So, this is greeting. Then how does Suresh respond to the greeting? Fine, thank you. How are you? Fine, thank you. How are you? So this is responding. And again Nagesh, he is asking a question to Nagesh. So Nagesh is responding now. I am fine too. Ben, meet Mr. Suresh, my cousin. Suresh, meet Mr. Ben. See, now if you see, first Nagesh asks, hello Suresh, how are you? So he is meeting his cousin first, and he is greeting his cousin, and then he is introducing Ben, Mr. Ben, who's come along with him to his cousin Suresh. Okay, see. Now Suresh here says, fine, thank you, how are you? And Nagesh responds again, I am fine too. I am fine too. Ben, meet Mr. Suresh, my cousin. Suresh, meet Mr. Ben. Now Suresh is giving a very formal greeting. He is going and shaking hands with Mr. Ben, and he says, how do you do? Responding in a formal way, because Suresh doesn't know Mr. Ben at all. First time he is being introduced. For that, Ben replies, how do you do? Again he says, whenever somebody says how do you do, you have to respond, how do you do? Okay. Nagesh. Now Nagesh knows Mr. Ben. So he says, Ben, yesterday I saw your brother. Yesterday I saw your brother going to the hospital. What's the matter with him? Immediately, Ben replies, Ben says, my father has had an attack. Okay, we'll just say cardiac arrest. Heart attack. Okay, or I'll just say my father has been admitted in the hospital. He had an attack. Okay. My father has been admitted in the hospital. He had an attack. So, when somebody says something very serious or something sad, well, how do you respond? How sad? Okay, you didn't say, oh, I am very happy, isn't it? When somebody is sick, you have to say, how sad? Please convey my wishes to him, or please tell him that I keep praying, I will keep praying for him for a speedy recovery. Okay. So, Nagesh says, how sad? How is he now? Okay, Ben says, he's better now. Please pray for him. Okay. For which I will write the next sentence here, Nagesh and Suresh. Okay. Both of them say, sure, we will. Okay. Now just say, first Nagesh introduces his cousin to Ben, and then they first it's a very formal greeting of introduction, and then suddenly they come to a serious point where Ben's father has been admitted, and how they respond, you see, and then they say that they will pray. Okay. Now I am going to read out the dialogue and you have to practice it. Nagesh: hello Suresh, how are you? Suresh: fine, thank you, how are you? So these two are cousins, so they are just telling how are you, hi and all that, hello and all that. And Nagesh says, I am fine too. So Ben is along with him. So Ben, meet Mr. Suresh, my cousin. So he is introducing his cousin to Mr. Ben, who has come along with him. And Suresh, meet Mr. Ben. Now Suresh is his cousin, so he doesn't use Mr. Suresh, meet Mr. Ben. But when he introduces Ben to Suresh, he says he is Mr. Suresh. You see the difference. Then Suresh immediately says, how do you do? He shakes hand with Mr. Ben. Ben, how do you do? Nagesh then says, Ben, yesterday I saw your brother going to the hospital. What's the matter with him? He's asking a question. And Ben says, my father has been admitted in the hospital. He had an attack. Immediately Nagesh responds, how sad, how is he now? And Ben says, he's better now, please pray for him. And both Nagesh and Suresh, they say, sure we will. Okay. So, this is just a very an imaginary dialogue, and I am going to give you a lot more of activities where you are going to introduce, express your feelings, how you greet people and all that. Next, we are going to see how when a group of people meet, how they introduce themselves to the others. Okay. Let us see, I am going to write down a dialogue and then we will go through it. These are a group of friends. Ramesh, have you met Mr. Praveen? And Praveen says, indirectly he is introducing Ramesh to Praveen. And Praveen says here, pleased to meet you. Okay, before that, Ramesh, have you met Mr. Praveen? Praveen, this is Ramesh, my classmate. Okay. Now, this is Praveen's chance now to talk. Pleased to meet you, Ramesh. Okay, next. Ramesh also replies, nice to meet you, Praveen. Next, Shruti. Shruti is introducing her. This is maybe we can think of a lot of students meeting, and also there are teachers also, they are introducing each other to them. Okay, Shruti. I'd like you to meet Miss Sarala. She's a teacher at Vidya Niketan. Okay, or we can even name some schools. Okay, I'd like you to meet Miss Sarala. She's a teacher at St. Mary's. Okay, for which Vimala, that is Vimala says, pleased to meet you. I am Vimala. She is introducing herself to Miss Sarala, okay? And Sarala. She says, it's nice to meet you. Next, Akhil. Let me introduce my friend Kumar to you. See how many people they are introducing to each other. Kumar, meet Mr. Shekhar, my business partner. My business partner. For which now Kumar replies. How do you do? And Shekhar also replies the same thing. Okay. Next, there are two more people. Rajni. Rajni wants to introduce Balu meet Mr. Balu, my colleague. Meet Mr. Balu, my colleague. For which the others say, I'll just write Kumar and the others. Now Anil. Anil says, come, let's go for a cup of coffee. Okay, so we see here a group of friends meeting after a long time, maybe this is an alumni meet or so, and they are introducing so many people to the others, and it varies. The way of introduction varies and how they reply varies, and they all decide to go for a cup of coffee. So, shall we read it once now? Anil. Ramesh, have you met Mr. Praveen? Now look at my change of tone, okay. Ramesh, have you met Mr. Praveen? When you have a question, your voice your tone goes up. Mr. Praveen, you are asking a question. And Praveen, this is Ramesh, my classmate. See, if you see here, the tone goes up here and here the tone comes down. This is called the intonation, okay. Praveen, this is Ramesh, my classmate. Praveen, pleased to meet you, Ramesh. Now the tone comes down. Ramesh, nice to meet you, Praveen. And Shruti, I'd like you to meet Miss Sarla. She is a teacher at St. Mary's. Here also the tone comes down. And Vimala. Vimala is another girl there. Pleased to meet you. I'm Vimala. She's just introducing herself to Miss Sarala, and she's telling that her name is Vimala. Sarala, it's nice to meet you. All this falling intonation. Now Akhil, let me introduce Mr. Kumar to you. Kumar, meet Mr. Shekhar, my business partner. All this falling intonationally. How do you do? How do you do? Now this second one can be a falling intonation. How do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Friends, meet Mr. Balu, my colleague. Kumar and the others, pleased to meet you. And Anil, come, let's go for a cup of coffee. Falling intonation. So this is how you change your tone, you change your manner of greeting each other, and you also respond in a different way. Okay, you practice with many more imaginary characters like this, and then you will become fluent in introducing yourself and also to respond to various people when they introduce you. We just saw a group of friends meeting after a long time, introducing their friends to the others, and then at last they all go to a coffee cafe, maybe a India cafe or some cafe, coffee day or something, for a cup of coffee. Now they all have coffee, and after which they are going to disperse. Now let's see how they disperse. Okay, we just had Akhil, Anil. Okay, we will start with Anil. It was so nice meeting after a long time. Then Shruti says, yes, Anil, we should make it a point to meet often. Vimala says, why don't we get together get together at least once a month. For that, Akhil says, oh, all of us are very busy with our work. Maybe we can meet once in 6 months at a common place. Well, that's a good idea. Okay, now okay, it's getting late. Let's call it a day. What do you mean by let's call it a day? That means, okay, now I think it's over. We'll finish up our meeting and we'll proceed with the next work, okay? Yes, friends. Let's make it a point to meet again Yes, it was indeed. Great. Bye. Okay, now let's read it out. Anil says, it was so nice meeting after a long time. And Shruti says, yes Anil, we should make it a point to meet often. Vimala immediately says, why don't we get together at least once a month? Akhil, oh, all of us are very busy with our work. Maybe we can meet once in 6 months at a common place. Others, well, that's a good idea. Everybody's coming out together to express their opinion. Sarla, okay, it's getting late. Let's call it a day. That means, okay, I think let's all get up and keep going, it means. Shruti, yes, friends, let's make it a point to meet again. She is ascertaining to what she told earlier. She is again repeating this. Let's make it a point to meet again. And all of them, yes, it was indeed great. Bye. Let's meet again. So, this is how they take leave. First we saw how they introduce themselves, and now we saw how they are taking leave of each other and going on their own work. So, I hope you have learnt how to introduce and also how to take leave one from the other.